What is up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and I just wanted to do a demonstration on how it is that I delve. Because some people might be really new, and they might not know good ways to delve. So, I do a combination of delving in the dark while I am doing my map run. This is not the easiest way to do it, but it is the most efficient way to do it. A tip for doing these, you're going to have to collect azurite. The thing is early on you want to collect enough so that you can fill in the stuff that you need, which you need a balance of. First of all, you need to get your sulfite store up as quickly as possible so that you're not wasting sulfite when you're stocking. You also want to get up to the 22,500 mark so that you can do the group rotations of Nikos. On top of that, you're kind of going to want to fill in all of this stuff as it becomes like cheap. Like, it's important to have a lot of the flares and the dynamite so that you are spending less time going back to have to buy them. Which that is one thing that comes into being efficient at delving, is how often you're having to use your flares and use your dynamite. The thing is you're probably going to want to just go ahead and open up every single thing, and you'll also eventually learn which things are more valuable to open. You'll learn like the different names and stuff like that. In general, anything for armor, anything for jewelry, like all of that crap, hardly never gives you anything unless it's a special node that that specifies that, like, drops chaos items or this drops cold items. Like, those are ones that you want to open because they can have like specific mods on them, which are going to be, in general, are going to have more beneficial items, or they have a chance of actually being good. So phase run is a pretty good thing to have. The reason why is that you can run through stuff, which you can get blocked a lot inside of delves. So having phase run on a character is a really good thing. Another thing is if your melee leap slam works really well. Just remember, if you're using leap slam or whirling blades, you want to have a high attack speed, because that's going to allow you to spam it and move through the stuff much quicker. A trick, if you're using an ice shot build or something with totems, is you can use them as a way to block yourself. I can throw them in front of myself and stand behind them, which kind of is going to pull some of the attack focus and damage focus away from me, which is more and more important the harder the delves get. But depending on your gear, different delves will be harder for, different people. Oh. I thought I saw something. I didn't. I was right the first time. I'm not the best at splitting my attention between making videos and playing. But, so what I was saying about dropping these, I can drop these and stand behind them, kind of. Because, like, especially on these areas, it kind of just gives you, like, a buffer for things trying to attack you. Which can be very helpful once you get to harder depths. Do I really need them at this point? No, definitely not. I could just move around shooting stuff. but I'll run this. We've only been doing it for 5 minutes, so I will do it a little bit longer just to let you guys kind of see how it is that I do this. See, that's not worth checking. Those armor things, they're crap. So throw down this, then I'm gonna throw down my dynamite, and it opens up, and I can see that there's fossils inside of here. I'm actually just gonna drop another one, get clear. Don't need to check the armor, that's gonna be crap. These azurite things you always want to get if you can. It's extra azurite, which you need for beefing up your stats. Like, my resistance to darkness right now is really poor because I was focused on getting my sulfite up because I knew I could get by with, you know, not having the best resistances. Because I'm pretty confident with my my delving skills. After a little warm-up, you know, like I said, I have done... Why is this not letting me select it? I have done a lot of these in the past. I have had fun playing Delve, but in the past it has historically been really poor currency for me. I have been getting a lot of comments of people saying that it's working well for them, so I have hope for it, and I'm hoping that it's gonna wind up being like miles ahead of what my experiences in the past have been. Already, I can say that I'm seeing more fossil nodes than I would have expected to see. And before talking to people, I was just thinking, you know, I'm probably just getting a little bit on the lucky side. But after listening to people, it is a possibility that they did buff it. So it might be possible that it has gotten a lot better, which would be nice because it would give us... Oh, I didn't see what it was. I just saw a sparkly thing, and I was like, I need to go check that. Once again, I mean, like on these, they do end up getting like really hard. Like I'm talking about like, well, it is dependent on your gear, but like really deep depths, pretty much everything will one-shot you. So something to also know is the banshees. There's banshees that spawn on one of these. It looks different than this. It's not these inside areas, but the banshees are really scary in general because they do chaos damage, which, you know, most people don't have really high chaos resistance, so those can kind of catch players off guard. So that is something to be aware of. Those normally mess you up. I remember my first experience, I was like, man, my character is so tanky, and then I went and did a Delve 1000 with one of those, and I had a huge dodge chance and reduction, and then I winded up getting hit, and my character went down. And I was like, oh, yeah, those things hurt. Okay, so one thing to also notice is this comes kind of with experience, but sometimes we will have sideways that are going to wind up being looped. Or they're like paths that are like connected. Especially in the forest area, they have a lot of those. So sometimes you can run off trying to do some delving in the dark, and the path just never ends, and that's because you're going down a different delve path. Sometimes there are really long paths that are side areas, but sometimes you wind up just going on a journey all the way to a completely different resting place. So something I'll do with those, they take a second to drop out. Nope, nothing down here. So I'll get it on my way back. Like, if you're going to be continuing to going, there's no reason for me to stop and sit there and wait for it to drop and be taking extra stacks of in the darkness damage. It's just unnecessary. If I know I'm coming back that way, I can pop it and then just run over it and quickly collect it. I will sometimes do that with loot as well, especially if there's stuff on top of it, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have to drop a flare. If you start getting low or you take a big hit, it's always best to drop a flare. It's, you know, better to use a flare than to die. I am going to have to go back now. Something you do always want to be paying attention to is how many flares do I have? How many pieces of dynamite do I have? We don't want to be going back all the time, but we also don't want to be in a delve, run out of flares, and then have to rerun the whole delve, or, you know, not realize we've run out of flares and end up dying, and then we wasted soul fight and we didn't get to finish it. And then we still have to buy flares, and we lost soul fight. Yeah, that's just not a good situation. So when you're coming back, one thing to always do, stock up your flares, stock up your dynamite first, and then buy stuff. Why do I say this? I guess my resistance wasn't that bad. I guess I had recently upgraded it. The reason why is because if we buy a big upgrade and then we don't have, say, like, if I had just bought something big, I'd spent all my soul fight, and then I'm like, now I'm going to get some flares. And I might have accidentally spent all of my azurite, and then I don't have flares, which means I have to find azurite before I'm able to go hunt in the dark. Which the chances of you going completely out once you get into these larger purchases and not having, you know, 5 azurite to get your flares, or 20 to get your dynamite, is not that likely. But I have had it happen to me. That's why I'm mentioning it, so it doesn't ever happen to you. And if you always fill these up first out of habit, then that won't ever happen to you. So that would be the best way to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get another one of these and get some duration. The way that I do upgrades early, getting to this point is pretty much like a safe zone where, like, if I don't have enough soul fight to complete one, I'm going to be able to do a single rotation. I'm going to be able to get it full. Obviously, I need double that to do a double rotation, and then I need triple that to do a triple rotation. Other than that, the things that are important here, we have the radius. That's pretty important because that's how far you can see, which also means how far you can kill stuff. Same thing with your flares. The duration to a certain point is important, but eventually it gets to the point where it's like, you know, how long are you really going to be sitting in that area with that flare? But the radius, you need to make sure that this stays up, because that's going to determine, you know, how far away things are that you can kill, how far you can see. So that's important to keep up. This is important to keep up. They're like quality of life, or keeping you alive things. And but these two, also, like, I need to upgrade this because, you know, it's only 1386 and I could have another one. The other reason why is once you get these up higher, you do find flares and you do find dynamite in the delves, which obviously, you know, my inventory, I've got a lot of space and all this stuff stacks. Like back in the day, the resonators didn't stack, and a lot of times you'd wind up going back because, you know, you'd have a bunch of resonators and they'd be like piling up in your inventory because you'd, you know, find like the 3-socket ones, and you'd find like, you know, 4 or 5 of them, and you're like dang, now like a third of my inventory is already full with just, you know, one type of resonator, which those pretty much have always tended to be the most common, which I think is happening this time also. But all the delve stuff stacks now, so the main reason why you're going to wind up having to come back is to get more flares or dynamite. And if you get a big stock of those, then you're gonna have a lot more breathing room. So you could go down, to like 5, and you're like, I'm safe to do a delve now. And then you might wind up hitting a couple flare things, and you're right back to full, which means you don't have to leave the delve. You're able to just keep on going, which is nice. So that's something to pay attention to, but definitely early you want to get this up. Um, Being able to farm kind of like I farm saves a lot of time, but getting used to it might be frustrating for some players because you're managing a lot of things. But like with anything, it takes practice. Um, I'll be honest, when I first jumped back into delve, like low delve level, I wound up dying once just because I got stuck. I hadn't done it in a long, well, that last season. I stopped playing last season like halfway through, about halfway through, and the only time I delved was a little bit earlier in the season, so it's been months since I've been in a delve. So I was rusty, and I died once, and I have a lot of experience delving. I haven't died since then, but um, you know, it it takes getting used to, and if it's your first time doing delve, or you're trying this method of checking the darkness while you go. In the long run, being good at that is going to save you a lot of time because, simply put, if I run the whole map and then I rewalk the whole map and then check those side areas, not only am I taking the extra time to check those side areas, but I'm basically running the map twice because, well, you can log out, or you're kind of running it 3 times, or part of a time because you can't teleport out. So you either have to log out or you have to walk back to one of the places to start the next one. So it's a lot of extra walking, which what does a lot of walking back and forth do? It makes us take a lot more time to complete one delve, which means we're making less currency per hour, which is that's what a lot of people are really concerned about. Um, so keep that in mind. That's the reason why I wasn't using the amount of time for the delves as a factor, because I think I am pretty efficient at these. Um, and some players might be more efficient, some players might be new and not be as efficient. So if I'm like, I made this much currency in this much time, some players might be like, I ain't making anywhere near that, and I'm doing the same number of delves. Or someone else might be like, I'm making way more than that with the same amount of drops because I'm better than you at that. Which, like I said, I was rusty starting this season, and I ain't a professional delver. There are some of those, and those dudes are definitely better at delving than me. So anyways, I hope this video demonstration is helpful for you guys. Catch you next time. Peace.